Right.
Hold
on one second. Today is, what is today? Wednesday? Public hearing for the Special Ordinance Committee meeting regarding the ordinances for the pump stations and the bond issuances for the pump stations. If there's any, the meeting is called to order. Is there any public that would like to speak? Okay, so hearing none, it's 6:03 p.m. and the public hearing portion of this ordinance meeting is hereby closed. So now we're moving to the agenda of the special meeting on Wednesday, Special Ordinance Committee meeting for the appropriation of these bond ordinances for the pump station. I don't know who's got that reverb.
Somebody's got a lot of background noise.
I think you've got to have everyone mute themselves unless you want to speak.
So I think what I want to do before they mute themselves, I want to do a quick roll call. This is being held virtually according to Governor Lamont's orders, and I want to make sure that we have all of the committee members here present, and then I will announce who our guests are today. So I will do that if that's okay, Margot. Chris Pia?
Yep.
Yep, present.
Present. Paul,
Yes, present.
David Harden?
I'm present.
Greg Hann? I see you're trying to speak.
Here.
Okay. Ken Poison?
Yes.
Bill Perillo?
Greg is here.
Thank you. Bill Perillo?
Bill Perillo's here.
Jim Connor?
Here.
Bill O'Brien?
Here.
And I'm Laura Dancho, who's chairing the meeting today. We also have in attendance John Florick and Don Savo and Mike Andriana from Pullman Comley joining us today. That being said, we can move to item 2.1. Is there a motion?
Ms. Dancho, Madam
Yes.
Chair.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to combine 2.1 and 2.2 for discussion purposes only, as they are.
There's a motion on the floor to combine items
Second.
1 and
Second
2.2.
from Jim
Is there a
Connor.
second?
Second from Jim Connor.
Seconded by Jim Connor. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Margot?
This is Margot Paquette, Secretary for the Ordinance Committee. This is the roll call vote to combine the items for discussion purposes. Mr. Pia?
I vote aye.
Mr. Taveras?
Vote no.
Mr. Harden? Mr. Harden?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Vote yes, yes.
I got you. Thank you. Mr. Can? Mr. Can?
Yes.
Mr. Poisson?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Perillo?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dancho?
Yes.
So that is 8-1.
Yep. Motion carries 8-1. Okay. So
So, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 2.1, an ordinance appropriating $24,650,000 for the pump station renovation and upgrade project, and move it to the council with a favorable recommendation.
thank
Miss-
you. Is there a second?
Ms. Dancho, this is Jim Connor. I second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Connor. Thank you. Is there, as we move into discussion, what I would like to do is introduce Mike Adriana, who's going to explain the bond that we're talking about today, and then we can move on to further questions. Mr. Adriana, thank you for attending tonight.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, committee. As far as the bond resolution, a few things that I would like to point out is that because the Stratford WPCA is a single municipal WPCA, it operates under Chapter 103 of the Connecticut General Statutes, which requires for those types of water pollution control authorities that the town issues debt related to the water pollution control authority projects. The Stratford WPCA is not a regional water pollution control authority, which could issue its own debt, but because it's a single town, it's a town that's required to issue the debt. The way the bond resolution is written and the way we write all of these bond resolutions relating to sewer projects or sewer facilities is we provide the option for the town to either do the borrowing through the state's Clean Water Fund program, or if that's not available for any reason, or if it proves to be less cost effective, we do provide for the town to issue its own GO bonds to fund the project. My understanding here with this project, and given my understanding of how the state's Clean Water Fund program works, is that it's highly likely that the town is going to issue the debt through the state's Clean Water Fund program. That program basically provides for construction loans and then a 20-year permanent loan for the project that at a 2% interest rate, which is a very good rate. If it issues it through the state's Clean Water Fund program, the way that program works is that during construction, the state basically makes advances to the town for costs of the project, which the town can evidence through invoices, so that the only money the town receives is for costs actually incurred, and there would be, no excess funds. At the end of the construction period, once the project is done, that construction loan is flipped over into the 20-year permanent loan, as I described. If for any reason, and this is highly unlikely, but the town decided to not use the Clean Water Fund program, the town itself could issue its own GO bonds for the project, like it does for many other capital projects. And when that money comes in, the town would use those proceeds to finance the costs of the projects. As we include in all our bond ordinances, if for any reason, say the town issues the full amount of the approved ordinance, which is the 24,650, and costs come in less than that, if there are excess funds available to the town, we provide that the town can basically reallocate those excess proceeds to other town projects which have been approved by the council for bonding and which still have unissued bond authorization available. So none of the bond proceeds can be spent on projects which haven't been approved by the council, and none of the bond proceeds can be spent on projects which have used up all their authorization. So the reason we do that is to give the town the flexibility to move money, because it is cheaper for the town to use the excess proceeds for other projects, because each time you issue bonds, there's a number of costs involved in issuing those bonds, including rating agency fees, disclosure document fees, bond counsel fees, financial advisor fees. So our feeling is that the best approach is always to try to use the proceeds that the town gets through an issue to the maximum amount available. So that is how the bond ordinance is set up. Again, as I said here, I think it is probably very likely, highly likely, given the type of project we're talking about, that the town is going to probably go through the state's Clean Water Fund program and borrow what it needs to borrow for the cost of the project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adriana. Are there any other questions, or anybody want to talk to the Adriana while he's with us?
Madam
Mr. Pia.
Thank you, Ms. Stancho. Mike, thank you, Mr. Adriana. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening. Thank you for the walkthrough. You said you use this for all bond resolutions? I heard you say?
Excuse me?
I thought I heard you say you use this for all bond resolutions?
For the bond resolutions, the ability to kind of transfer monies to other approved bond projects, yes.
Okay, yeah, because we've been working, I don't know if you know any of the background, it is what it is, but the bottom line is we've been working on this for a couple of years here in Stratford to get this through the Clean Water Fund, and we're fortunate enough that the state granted us the total allotment in 2019, which is awesome, because I believe it's a wave in terms of where all municipalities are going forward. And the 2% note at 20 years is a great rate. So my point is, you use this with all, I don't know how many other municipalities your firm works with, but how many approximately do you use this with? That's why I'm just curious.
We represent as bond counsel probably roughly 30 municipalities in the state and use this system. And again, as I say, whenever you can take advantage of the state's Clean Water Fund program, do so. But there are situations, particularly not with a pump station project, but some other projects where you might be able to finance a portion of the project through Clean Water Fund because of the type of project it is. And then in those cases, you cover the excess in your regular GO issuance.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we could move to a vote.
Is that my cue?
That's your cue, Margot. We're going to do a roll call vote, and this is for, item
Agenda item 2.1. This is Margot Paquette, Secretary for the Council, the Ordinance Committee. Mr. Pia.
I vote aye.
Mr. Taveras.
I vote no.
Mr. Hardin. Thank you, I got it. Mr. King.
I can't.
Mr. Can.
Laura, Greg Can. Laura, Greg Can. Laura.
We're doing a vote. Are you voting? You just muted.
Muted.
Okay. We're voting on item.
Laura.
Mute this mouse.
Greg Can.
I hear you.
Laura.
I do hear you.
Laura. Oh man. Testing, testing.
We could hear you.
Testing, testing. Laura. Guys, I've been trying to get you to start the vote. Try to get it discussion.
I can't hear it.
Does anybody?
Well before voting, I was trying to get in. Well before voting, I was trying to get in. It's not mute. With the work discussion.
Greg, we can't hear you.
We can't understand you.
Discussion.
We're in the middle. We're voting on this now. I'm sorry. I thought that
Testing.
I'm.
No. I'm right here. I've been here.
I know.
I'm not muted. I'm right here. Nothing's changed.
I didn't say there was.
It says Greg Can is talking. Now it says Laura talking. My screen says Greg Can is talking.
I could
David,
hear you.
David, can you check why the folks can't hear me?
I could hear you.
Right,
Can you
David?
vote on the item
Greg,
2.1?
I have no control over your microphone other than I can mute it or I can unmute it. Those are the only options that I have. And from my standpoint, at this moment, you're unmuted.
Understood. So can everyone hear me now?
Yes. We're in the middle of a
Okay.
roll call vote, on item 2.1.
Well, you considering that this is a go-to meeting, I don't know the technology that stopped me from being part of the discussion, but let's have courtesy that questions and discussion was incomplete. Let us please, we have questions for Michael.
Hold on one second. I did ask for further questions, and I waited a minute and didn't hear anything. So I'm going to refer to Mr. Leclerc as a point of order. We're in the middle of a vote. I don't know how to do this right now. We're in the middle of a vote for 2.1.
I'm breaking up, so I'll let John Florek, who's live, come in.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
The question's already been called and the vote's already been started. So discussion cannot be had on this. However, this is only for the appropriations ordinance.
Correct. This is just 2.1.
There will be another ordinance, which is the bonding ordinance, which I'm assuming that council member can ask his questions and discuss and make any points that he wants to make with respect to the bonding ordinance.
Thank you. So, Mr. Can, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of the roll call vote, so I'm going to ask for your vote for item 2.1, and then we will be doing another motion and vote on item 2.2.
We motioned, Madam Chair, if I may, not to interrupt, we did.
Please.
We made a motion to combine items for discussion.
Please.
Mr. Florek, I don't know if you heard that.
Just for discussion. Okay,
John
so that was just for discussion.
I heard that, but we're in the middle of a vote on one of those items.
Mhm.
So there will be a chance for discussion on the second item, 2.2, which I think the same points, the same arguments, the same questions can be asked.
Mr. Florek.
We had that combined we've combined 2.1 and 2.2 for discussion purposes. So I believe that we need to move this forward with a vote on item 2.1 and followed by 2.2, and this is going to town council, so we can have further discussion at the town council level. I'm sorry, I thought I waited long enough. I do see microphones that are not muted.
No, Laura, I was waving my hand. We were promised discussion tonight while the bond council is here.
I don't see
the technical
your video.
problem. What kept you seeing my hand?
So
can you guys withdraw the vote so we can discussion?
We need to.
Can you withdraw the vote so we can
Madam Chairman, can I speak?
Thank you.
John Florek. Mr. Can, this is the appropriations ordinance, not the bonding ordinance. Do you have questions regarding the appropriation? Mr. Can?
Mr. Can, you're not on video. I want to remind you.
John, my question applies to 2.2, but I'm hearing them say, Mr. P and Ms. Stanko state that we would not have discussion on 2.2.
No, that's not. We're voting on 2.1 right now. Both of the matters were combined for discussion purpose. You can raise your questions under 2.2. You will also have the ability to raise those questions at the council meeting.
I was promised an opportunity at ordinance. If the group agrees that I'll be able to ask my questions under 2.2, then I'm okay to let 2.1 complete its vote. Do we agree that I'll be able to ask questions under 2.2?
We have
Madam Chairman,
a motion and a second to, go ahead, Mr. Clark.
I think that would be appropriate, but as far as 2.1 goes, you're in the middle of a motion that's being voted on. So there can be no further discussion as to 2.1.
Mr.
Madam
Pia?
Chair, question for the town
Do
attorney.
we agree?
Greg, hold on.
Mr. Pia has the floor right now. We are in the middle of a vote. I want to remind everybody.
Question for the town attorney. Okay. Since the vote passed that everybody on this call voted on to combine discussion, we just did it about 8 minutes ago.
Mhm.
What does that mean, John? Because you just said that Greg can talk on 2.2, but we passed the vote 8-1 to combine discussion on the items. I'm just asking a point of clarity. That's all.
You said that, and you as a body can modify that if you want to. What I'm referring to here is the Robert's Rules precedent, which says that once a vote is underway on a certain item, there can be no further discussion on that item. So when it comes to 2.2, if you want to allow discussion, and I would suggest it, then you can do so. But 2.1, the vote has already started on 2.1.
All right, so can I make a motion then to, and again, I'm just asking for clarity, maybe Brian chime in. Since we voted and passed 8-1 to combine 2.1 and 2.2 for discussion purposes only, we just passed it, it's recorded. Can we pull that back? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to, I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, the motion on 2.1 can be withdrawn, I guess, and the second can be withdrawn.
Well, it was voted on, so I think you could just move that there be discussion on 2.2 so Mr. Can have an opportunity to speak.
I recommend we do that then. I recommend we do that.
Okay, we're going to proceed with the vote on item 2.1, and then we will revisit item 2.2 and have another continued discussion. And I apologize, but I want to let Mr. Can know that you are not muted. However, you do not have a video. I can't see your hand raised if that's what you were doing. So if you want to turn on your video, I don't know how long I'm supposed to wait to hear a response when I ask for discussion. But if it needs to be a little bit longer to make sure that you have your, there you go. Now I could see you. Hello. So now I'm going to ask for your vote on item 2.1, Mr. Can. And Margot, please proceed.
Yep. Mr. Can? Mr. Can, your vote?
I think it's delayed. Hang on, Margo.
You're very garbled.
Approve yes for 2.1.
I heard yes.
Okay. Mr. Can votes yes on 2.1. Thank you. Mr. Poisson?
Yes.
Mr. Pirillo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dancho?
Chair votes yes.
8-1.
Motion passes. So now for discussion purposes, we will move back to 2.2, and this is the ordinance on the issuance of bonds. Do I need to do another motion?
You should move it and second it and then discuss it.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
For item 2.2.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to move item 2.2, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of 2,650 bonds and obligations of the town immediately.
Is there a second? Thank you.
Yeah, this is Jim Connor for a second.
Mr. Connor has seconded. Is there any discussion?
Vote yes on 2.1.
Mr. Can, if you have something to say, it's going to be really difficult with your audio issue.
Hey, Greg, this is Margot. If you can click on the little cog on the upper right-hand side and tell the platform that you want to use your phone for audio. and it will shut down your computer audio and give you a phone number, an access code, and a PIN to call in from your cell phone or a landline, and it will connect with your video connection.
Did he go out? I heard someone leave.
No.
Is there anyone else that has discussion on item 2.2?
Give him a minute. Give him a minute, Laura, because Margot.
Give Mr. Can a minute to adjust his audio while we're waiting. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I hear you.
I'm a shark.
Okay, you're a shark.
Take a shark boy. No. Are you done?
I don't know if there's an alternative to this.
Well,
There are two callers that I can see, Madam Chairman. I don't know who the second one is, but whoever it is muted.
This is Mayor John.
Someone have Mr. Can's cell phone. They could just call him and explain what Margot told him to do if he's not hearing us.
I just want to remind everyone we have 3 lawyers with us tonight.
Paul, can you call Greg?
I'm doing that as we speak.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Dancho, this is David Wright speaking. Even though Mr. Can is showing up on your screen as being connected on my control panel, it says he isn't even in the conversation now.
Okay.
So he would have to be connected some other way.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Madam Chairman? Madam
You
Chairman?
know who caller 2 is? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is that Paul?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I just spoke with Greg. He said he is attempting to do that. He's attempting to get on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Paul, I have the phone number if you need to provide that to Mr. Can.
The phone number for the, hold on. The dial-in number is at 646-749-3131.
The dial-in number that I show is 224-501-3412.
So Greg just popped on twice. So I think, Greg, can you hear the audio? Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Laura, can you hear him? I can hear him.
It says my screen is disabled, but is my audio coming in okay?
And that's a lot
Yes.
better.
All right.
Okay, so now this is for discussion on item 2.2. We are, given that we already had the discussion to accommodate the technical difficulties from Mr. Can, we are going to allow him to have some time to ask questions.
Thank you for everyone's understanding. I'm going to address some questions to Mike and then to Don. Chapter 103, Mike, it designates one municipality versus what I'll call a community of municipalities. Is there a section there you can reference that sort of, when it's one municipality, it excludes the authority from writing its own bonds?
Say that again?
If you don't have it now, I was hoping to get the section, the paragraph under 103, which states that a single town cannot issue its own WPCA bonds?
It is section 7-259, which states that it's the municipality that would issue the debt.
Thank you. You mentioned that we may use clean water, we may not. Under clean water in section 283, there's a provision that proceeds shall be held separate from and not commingled with other funds. Meaning, in my mind, that, well, we already know if it goes through that, it'd be protected. What I'm asking for everyone to think about is the same protection that the Clean Water Fund statute would provide, such as issuing invoice and only paying actual costs. I'm asking that that same protection be provided if we use a funding source other than clean water.
So, Mr. Can, I just want to point out that I believe that this question's already been answered by Mr. Andrea.
So I'll next interrupt and ask a question to Don Savo. So we're going to put out this bond, and who owns the liability for the bond?
So recorded in our CAFR, the debt that is related to the WPCA shows on the WPCA's fund, it's recorded in the enterprise fund.
Now back to Mike. Since the WPCA is wholly liable for the payment of this bond, would other water authorities allow themselves to be used to pay non-water authority expenses?
Let me explain that. You're right. So let's put aside the Clean Water Fund, because if we do it through the Clean Water Fund loan, it's straightforward, and there's no excess proceeds. If the town went out and issued bonds for the full amount, say the full $24,650, and there was excess proceeds that were not needed for the pump station project, I would agree with you there that if monies were moved to other town projects, there is no way that the WPCA should pay for that portion. And what I've typically seen in that case would be, in most cases, when the town issues kind of a sewer project debt, the town will be, liable on the debt because it's GO, full faith and credit debt, and that there's some type of internal understanding or agreement between the town and the WPCA where the WPCA would basically reimburse the town for the cost of the sewer project debt. So in the hypothetical we could possibly deal with here, if the town issued $24,650,000 for the pump station and ended up only having to spend, say, $23 million, then the WPCA should definitely only be paying debt service on the $23 million. And if that additional money was moved to, say, a what I would call a pure town project, say, they used it to buy equipment for public facilities, then the town would be liable on that portion of the debt.
Thank you, Mike. Mike, can you refer to Section 8 of this ordinance? And can you recommend an amendment to this Section 8, which would clarify that any bond proceeds not used for WPCA projects would be not billed by the town to the WPCA?
Madam Chair, just a quick question. I'm not trying to interrupt. Dan's question. That's not my intent. The intent of this, the intent has always been for the last 2 years to put this through the Clean Water Fund. And I thought, Mike, can you just say, whatever we go through the Clean Water Fund, if there's money left over, it goes back to the, right? Yeah.
Goes back to the Clean Water Fund?
Yeah.
It can. I mean, what we're trying to do with the ordinance is give flexibility. So if there's extra money, it can stay with the wait, back up. Clean Water Fund money, there'll never be any extra money with Clean Water Fund money.
That's my point. There's not going to be any, because we're going through the Clean Water Fund, because there's 2%. We can't bond at 2% out there on this.
No. Town of Stratford can't borrow 20-year bonds at 2%.
Yeah. So, okay, Greg, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying the intent of this is all going through the Clean Water Fund at 2%. And when it's done, say we only do 23 million, it's done.
That's it. That's as much as you'll get from the state.
Okay.
I think what Mr. Can was getting to is if for some reason you didn't go through Clean Water Fund,
okay,
and which is, unlikely, but if it did and there was excess funds there, and to your question, Mr. Can, what I would say is rather than dealing with this in the ordinance, I mean, and Dawn, maybe you could help here. There's got to be some understanding within the town for if the town issues geo debt for WPCA projects, how the payments from the WPCA are made to the town. I don't know if there's internal agreements, internal memorandums, internal understandings, but there should be something there that would obviously cover that the WPCA pays debt service on WPCA related projects, which I think is basically where we're getting to.
Yes, so it is in the debt is included in their budget, the principal and the interest, and it's also calculated into their rate.
Right.
So, and those numbers are audited and the projects are segregated. So if we do the project and it comes in under budget and the town did issue geo bonds for it, then any other council approved capital project that the town used the additional funds for would then go on to the town's books. It would not be part of the WPCA's books.
Right, and I think
They're all under the town. I mean, they're segregated in what we call funds. So we have
Right.
different funds in our books.
But
Yes.
but to Mr. Pia's point, which is very valid here, I mean, I can't think of a circumstance where we wouldn't use the Clean Water Fund program.
I'm not, as the finance director, I am not
Yeah.
recommending that. And so
Right.
I don't foresee that happening.
2%.
Okay, is there any other discussion or have we covered?
Oops.
Who is that? Should I wait a few minutes or are we ready to move this to a vote, item 2.2?
Did dawn break up for you guys?
Greg, I'm not commenting anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, we're done. I think that all is, unless anyone else has anything else to say, we're going to move this to a vote. This is item 2.2. Okay.
Joe?
Is that a comment, Mr. Can? All right, hearing no further comments, I'm going to move item 2.2 to a roll call vote. Margot.
This is Margot Paquette, Secretary for the Ordinance Committee. This is the roll call vote for item 2.2.
Laura?
Mr. Pia?
I vote aye.
Laura?
Mr.
Laura?
Taveras?
Did you pass and get back to me?
Mr. Hardin? Yes? I'm trying to, okay. Mr. Can?
Yes.
Mr. Can?
You're not on video, and
Mr. Can, your vote for item 2.2. Should I keep going and
The
come
vote
back
is-
to him again?
Am I online now?
What is it?
Margot?
Yes,
Margot?
it's Greg, is that you? Greg?
Me. Without an amendment to section 8, I vote no.
Okay, Mr. Can votes no. Mr. Poisson?
Yes.
Mr. Perillo?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dancho?
yes,
Mr. Taveras?
I'm gonna vote no.
7-2.
7-2, the motion passes.
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Seconded.
adjourn.
Seconded by Mr. Connor.
Seconded by Mr. Connor.
I'm sorry,
and
who made the motion?
Mr.
Chris-
Kia.
Yeah, second by Connor.
Is there any discussion? Do a roll call vote on adjourning, or can we just say aye?
I would just say aye.
Just say aye.
Aye.
No roll call needed.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
all.
everyone who attended tonight, and we appreciate all of the information, and look forward to moving forward with getting pump stations fixed on the Clean Water Fund.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for attending. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, John.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.